In the early 1900s, electricity was a luxury, and one that wasn't available to people in Mississippi's rural areas. Homes and farms were miles apart, and the investor-owned power companies at the time found it too expensive to set poles and string wires to serve just one home or farm. As a part of his cure for the Great Depression, President Franklin D. Roosevelt created the Rural Electrification Administration in 1935. It originally served as an unemployment relief program for building lines, but Roosevelt transformed it into a leading agency to loan money to power companies for building power lines across rural America. But the power companies failed to seize the opportunity for financial aid. It became clear that if rural America wanted electricity, the people would have to do it themselves. In 1936, Congress passed the Rural Electrification Act. This act allowed residents to form their own nonprofit groups to get financial assistance for building lines. Residents of Mississippi's Jackson, George, and Greene counties wanted and needed electricity to improve their way of life. A group of organizers encouraged all citizens interested in receiving electricity to gather at the George County Courthouse in Lucedale on August 31, 1938. K.W. Burnham of Moss Point acted as chairman for this important meeting. 7 men were nominated and named as the Board of Incorporators: N.G. Fairley, Hardy D. Weiss, and B.A. Woodard from George County, Axel Pedersen and Henry W. Cochran from Jackson County, and Ben DeShazo and Lige Hillman from Greene County. The incorporators chose the name Singing River Electric Power Association and applied for an REA loan to construct power lines. During the next 16 months, a solicitor hired by the incorporators registered members for electric service, and lines were constructed. Members were encouraged to ready their homes with wiring, so when the lines made it to them, there was no delay. The first line was energized on December 5, 1939, and the people of George and Greene counties were excited. The lines powered parts of Neely, McLean, Leaf, Avent, and Merrill. During the 1940s, communities such as Van Cleve, State Line, Gaucher, and Howell requested electric service. 3 superintendents led Singing River Electric in its defining first years. The cooperative had a notable series of firsts, including building a Moss Point substation in 1941, hiring a permanent lineman, purchasing a utility truck, and conducting its first public safety training. The early days were full of challenges. Employees worked hard in rugged conditions, digging holes and setting poles by hand.
You dug all the holes by hand, most old diggers. You bored the anchor holes with anchor holes. We took and got the truck pretty close to the hole and slid the pole off the truck.
Electricity was new, and times were hard.
Singing River was organized in 1938 and began constructing lines in 1939. At a time when money was scarce and the rural people were skeptical that the Singing River could provide the rural areas with electricity. Then, in the 40s, the war years, materials were scarce, money was even scarcer, and during those years, Singing River struggled to exist. And their struggles continued till about 1960, when the shipyard industry on the coast began to flourish.
In 1948, J.T. Dudley was hired as general manager. An engineer and champion for electric cooperatives, Dudley helped Singing River Electric gain momentum with member growth and service area expansion during his 32-year tenure.
Mr. Dudley was a man of few words, but when he spoke, people listened. He was highly respected locally, statewide, and nationally.
Electricity consumption for farms on Mississippi Electric Cooperative lines more than doubled from 1941 to 1950. In 1959, Mississippi's Public Service Commission designated certificated areas and assigned them to electric utilities. The areas given to Singing River Electric then are still served by the cooperative today. Local newspapers advertised the latest electric appliances, and local businesses shared how modern equipment powered by electricity made their work more profitable. To meet the cooperative's growing needs, Singing River Electric built a new Lucedale headquarters office in 1960 and continues to operate at that location today. Just as rural America fought for the right to receive electricity in the 1930s, Singing River Electric and other Mississippi cooperatives battled Mississippi Power Company and won the right to form South Mississippi Electric Power Association and to generate electric power for the rural areas at a lower cost. Dudley served as manager of Singing River Electric and South Mississippi Electric simultaneously. Today, South Mississippi Electric generates electricity that is used by its 11 Mississippi Electric cooperative members, including Singing River Electric, providing power to more than 400,000 homes and businesses.
In 1968, Mr. Dudley hired me as electrical engineer. As engineer and assistant manager, I was responsible for seeing that Singing River had the facilities to serve the expanding load and the employees to manage it. I was responsible for overseeing the development of Singing River from a small, struggling electric cooperative to one of the largest in the state.
In 1971, the cooperative energized Fontainebleau, its largest substation to date, and began construction of the Gautier District office. Crews proved early on that they could safely and efficiently restore power after natural disasters, first by traveling in 1951 to Capital Electric in Jackson after a snow and ice storm. 1969's Hurricane Camille knocked out power to some members for 3 weeks, and crews restored power in just 17 days after Hurricane Frederick brought down the entire system in 1979. Singing River Electric became the largest electric cooperative in the state in 1977, but dropped to second largest in 1980 after layoffs at Lytton Shipyard and a general decline in employment slowed area growth. After Dudley's retirement in 1980, Jack Ware moved from chief engineer and assistant manager to general manager. Ware's management skills were key in preventing a takeover attempt in 1988 by investors who sought to close Singing River Electric for personal gain. Also during Ware's tenure, the cooperative made its first ever voltage conversion at Greene County's Sand Hill substation, regulated billing schedules, and applied overall cost-saving measures. The Sand Hill branch office opened, and technology such as a more efficient computer system and handheld electronic meter reading devices were added. Mother Nature did her part to keep crews active as Hurricane Elena hit the Mississippi Gulf Coast in 1985, and crews continued to help others after hurricanes, tornadoes, and ice storms.
Over the years, there were many challenges, and Singing River was able to meet those challenges by having well-trained, capable employees and a supportive board of directors. In 1975, after working as co-op students with Singing River while attending Mississippi State University, I hired 2 young engineers, Mike Smith and Lee Hedegaard, who have been an integral part of the development of Singing River into the organization it is today, and they continue to be a part of that process.
In 1998, Lee Hedegaard succeeded Jack Ware as general manager. Under Hedegaard's leadership, Singing River Electric's distribution system and general processes have become more reliable and embraced technology. Substations have been upgraded and constructed in new areas to meet the rising demand for electricity. The cooperative partnered with Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College in 1999 to create an apprentice lineman training program in response to a shortage of trained linemen and a trend toward a retiring workforce.
In 1999, I contacted Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College about the possibility of creating an apprentice lineman training facility at the George County campus. As we began to put the curriculum together and other utilities in the state heard about it, it was apparent that there was a need from others other than ourselves. So a number of us partnered together to create the training program. It was the first apprentice lineman training program in the southeastern United States. Since then, it's been copied at 3 other community college locations throughout the state of Mississippi and by numerous other states and organizations. We have graduated over 400 linemen since its inception, and Singing River has employed over 60 of those graduates. It has prepared them well for the workforce. It taught them skills such as OSHA standards, CDL requirements for driving, Department of Transportation, sponsored vehicles, forklift safety, first aid, and other requirements that linemen use in their everyday life.
Approximately $7.8 million in USDA zero-interest loans have been secured by Singing River Electric to fund local economic development projects over the past 15 years.
Being an electric service provider, Singing River has been a partner in economic development in our service territory for a number of years in several different ways. But one way in particular has been through the use of a USDA program entitled Red Leg, which is Rural Economic Development Loan and Grant Program. This is a tool whereby funds are provided by USDA to Singing River Electric to re-lend in the community to help with economic development. This economic development could be in the form of creating jobs or retaining jobs. 3 areas that Singing River is trying to concentrate on is in the industrial area, in education, and in healthcare. An example of these would be in the industrial area, a project that we helped fund with Mississippi Export and Railroad. They constructed a transloading facility along the Escatawba River whereby product could be transferred from rail to barge or barge to rail to be shipped to various parts of the country or to other countries as well. A second area would be in the education field. We partnered with community colleges, one of which was Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College following Hurricane Katrina. The school was facing a situation where they were going to have to let faculty members go because enrollment had declined and the coast was trying to rebuild, but through a loan provided through Singing River to Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, they were able to retain several instructor and professor positions with the college at that time. The third area is healthcare. A very vital part, and an example of this is the Georgia Regional Health System made a hospital expansion a few years ago, and we were able to provide funds that would allow them to build some much needed intensive care unit rooms in this edition of the hospital. So Singing River was able to provide a total of $7.8 million in economic development funds in these 3 areas, which we feel are vital for economic development in our service area, and we're glad to be a partner in helping the economy of our service area grow.
Singing River Electric Crews restored power to its members after major hurricanes such as George, Ivan, Katrina, Isaac, countless thunderstorms and damaging tornadoes, and continued to help fellow electric cooperatives in their time of need. The cooperative met its greatest challenge after Hurricane Katrina in August 2005, when every meter in the system lost power for only the second time since Hurricane Frederick. In just 14 days, power was restored to all who could receive it.
In August of 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Destruction that came from the impact of Hurricane Katrina really unthinkable at the time. To see 3,000 homes, meters, customers of ours, their homes just washed away. Another 3,000 homes were flooded, had major water, anywhere from a few inches to completely submerged. We grew from 180 employees overnight to 1,000 people working on the restoration efforts in about 2 days. The efforts of the linemen are just unreal at their ability to bring our system back up in 14 days. The linemen can do the work. That's not the real question or problem. It's housing, feeding, and managing the workforce is the real challenge. To be able to prepare 3,000 meals a day, to house 1,000 people when there's no electricity, no water, no showers. It's a very daunting process to do that. But our employees rose to the occasion. People did jobs, computer programmers delivered meals, made sandwiches. Our CSRs worked the kitchens, helped cook, washed dishes. Everybody just chipped in. They did what they had to do.
In the months following Katrina, meter reading became fully computerized with automated meter reading.
Technology changes occurred in several ways at Singing River Electric through the years. One area was to do with meter reading. In the 1970s to early 80s time frame, meter readers carried a paper book like this out to the customer's home, got the meter reading, wrote it down in the book, brought it into the office, and then processed manually within the office. Later on, in the mid-80s time frame, we began to use an electronic handheld device where the meter reader still had to go to the home. He entered this reading into the device. The device was brought back into the office and downloaded to a computer system where the readings were processed for billing at that time. Later, Singing River began to look for a new technology called automated meter reading. There were several types of systems available, and just prior to Hurricane Katrina hitting in 2005, we had made a decision on a system we wanted to use. Hurricane Katrina sped that process up, however, because we lost several thousand meters as a result of the disaster. This system allowed us to read all the meters from our office, process the meter readings automatically, made us much more efficient in our billing. The system was completely installed in 2010, and with that being completed, we were able to offer some more information to our customers that we've not been able to in the past. And helping them with their usage, we were able to provide them with what their daily usage was, sometimes even hourly, which helped them plan or look for ways to be more efficient in the use of electricity.
In 2009, Singing River Electric partnered with the NRECA International Foundation on a humanitarian project to bring power to the rural areas of Jalapa, Guatemala. Crews have traveled to this area 4 times to continue the progress, and other Mississippi electric cooperatives have joined Singing River Electric on recent trips.
I've had the opportunity to travel to Jalapa on 2 occasions with our linemen. This project has been one of the most rewarding projects that I and the other linemen have ever had the opportunity to participate in. To see the little kids and even the adults receive power for the first time in their life and live up on a mountain side with no hope, and to be able to bring them hope and a change in their life. There's one lady who was a mayor of one of the villages. On the first time we got our power. On the second visit, I went back and she had added on to her house. She had purchased 2 refrigerator freezers. She had a 3-meter satellite dish on top of her house. She had a child that was laying up in bed watching cartoons. Another child that was studying by a light. He was learning the months of the year. She hugged my neck and she told me, "You've changed our lives forever." An unforgettable experience.
In 2010, Singing River Electric installed new customer service software and launched its interactive voice response phone system and outage management system.
Another technology implemented was something called an interactive voice response phone system. This system allowed customers to call in much like you would at a bank to check their account balance when payments were last made. It also gave them the capability to make a payment by credit card if they chose to over the phone rather than having to talk to a customer service rep, and this was available to them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Another aspect of the interactive voice response system was for them to be able to report a power outage at their home. Another piece of technology tied to this in terms of reporting outage was outage management system. Prior to being able to implement an outage management system, Singing River first had to take their paper maps, convert those to computerized maps, which were used along with an engineering model, electronic model, to use in implementing an outage management system, whereby as a customer called in on the IVR phone system to report an outage, this call was automatically logged through the caller ID of the telephone number to the customer's account, which was brought up on a computer display to our dispatchers to know that power was out. This outage management system made us much more efficient in dispatching crews, knowing where power was out in an area. Another added piece of the outage management system was that once power had been restored, this system would do an automatic callback to the customer to let them know that power should be restored at their home, and if not, would allow them to re-enter the outage so that we can go back and make sure all of our customers had power restored at that time.
Energy efficiency is heavily promoted, as are the many tools available to help members use less energy and lower their power bills. The local community benefits from the Neighbors Helping Neighbors community grant program, NHN Energy Assistance, and safety education. What a great and storied 75 years it has been. Today, Singing River Electric has more than 71,000 meters and 7,000 miles of line across 9 counties in Mississippi and Alabama. It took many hours, planning and changing of the times, to get from those first 100 miles of line to where the cooperative is today.
Singing River has systematically invested in our distribution facilities for the last 45 years. We've modernized all our substations. We've added technology where feasible. We've upgraded our offices to provide a better working environment for our employees and to serve our customers. And most importantly, we've invested in our future, our employees, with education and training. As we celebrate our 75th anniversary, we look forward to the challenges that will rise in the next 75 years.